Om Ajnanatimirandasya Jnananjanashalakaya Chakshurunmulitam Jena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha. Nama Om Vishnupadaya Krishna Prasthaya Bhutale Srimate Bhaktivedanta Swaminiti Namani Namaste Saraswate Deve Gauravani Pracharini Nirvisheshai Shunyavadi Paschata Deshatarani Jayo Sri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Sri Advaita Gadadhara Sri Vasadi Gaura Bhakta Vrinda Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna. Hare Krishna and welcome all the devotees to the online Sadachar classes from ISKCON Mangalore. So today we'll look at in the other avatars. Okay, so last time we saw Varaha avatar. Yeah. So this avatar is again connected to the same Vara avatar. Yeah. So we'll start the class. Uh, so can anyone guess? So what would be the next avatar? We're looking at this picture.
Nursing
Any
Avatar
guesses?
Prabhuji. Nursing Avatar Prabhuji.
Prabhu, your voice is not coming, Prabhu.
Nursing Avatar Prabhuji.
Yes, Prabhu, correct. So today we'll be discussing about nursing avatar. Okay. So this is I think so. This needs not only one classes but many more classes. So we'll try to sum up whatever we can do as a part of this class. Okay. So today we'll be looking at the Narasimha avatar. Okay. So and then this picture so which you are seeing is of Narad Muni here. And then these are the devatas who are trying to capture Prahlad's mother. Yeah? And then Prahlad is in the womb. Yeah? So that's the picture. So it's a little bit confusing. But yeah, so just wanted to start with some quiz kind of thing. Okay, anyhow. So last time we saw Vara Dev, right? So wherein we saw that Hiranyaksha, right? So who was we saw the background also. We wherein we gave in that it was Jai Vijay who were cursed, and then Hiranyaksha was the demon in Varadev's pastime, and then now it is Hiranyakashipu. So who is the next demon? So who will be killed by the Lord? Okay. So this is the continuation of that episode, right? So post Hiranyaksha dies, right? So Hiranyakashipu gets the news, and then he gets very agitated, right? Because the two brothers were actually destroying everything, and then say they were actually trying to rule all the three worlds and all, right? So he felt very bad and morose when his brother got killed, right? And then he went to the nephews, and then there, right? So he actually solaced them, uh, and then you'll not believe there he solaces using all telling that there's soul, and then there's a material body which will so the material body dies but the soul never dies. He gives all those gyan there. Yeah, so it's not that the demons do not understand shastra or don't read it, but they don't utilize in the proper way, right? So they are all learned also. So then he actually solaces the nephews and the widow of Hiranyaksha, and then he actually um, instructs all his demons, saying that so you'll have to create disturbances wherever there are yajnas, wherever there are hermitage, all those things, right? Whichever are pious things, right? So which are actually used to satisfy the demons, devatas, sorry. So you actually destroy everything. So that's the instruction which he gives in. And then he actually goes to the Mandara hill. Okay. So wherein to perform severe tapasya. Okay. And then he does severe tapasya there. So with a lot of austerity he does in, yeah. So he does for 100 years. And so he does the tapasya on one hand, one leg, yeah, and then keeping both the hands upwards. He was standing on one leg, yeah, and then he was doing tapasya very rigidly, yeah, and so it's like almost on 100 years, right? So he was doing tapasya, yeah, and then slowly his legs, his feet, everything were covered with ant hills, yeah, and then the insects and ants started eating his body also, yeah. So still he was actually he was doing that meditation, yeah. And then uh, so a stage came in where whole his body, right, until his neck, the ant hill was covered, yeah, and then his body parts were being eaten, but still he was actually keeping his life air. Yeah, so he was an yogi, right? So and then he was keeping those life air, and then it so happened that there was some heat produced from his head, and then that heat started disturbing all the universe. Yeah, say the aquatics, uh, the planets where the devatas live, all those things. Right? Felt some tremendous heat waves which were coming in, and then they approached as usual, right? So they approached Lord Brahma, okay, saying that so there is a lot of heat which is getting produced, and there is a lot of disturbance. So can you look into this matter, right? So then Lord Brahma, knowing this, right? So he comes to the place where um, Hiranyakashipu is doing the severe austerity, right? So, and the what we all know, right? So Hiranyakashipu basically wanted to be immortal, right? So he wanted not to be conquered by anyone, right? And then even so he wanted to get rid of the old age and disease also, right? And not to be harassed by any opponent. Basically, all in all, right, he wanted to be the ruler for the entire universe. So that's was his agenda. Okay. So more or less, he wanted to become another Brahma. Okay. So that was the benediction which he kept in mind. And then when Lord Brahma saw this situation, right, he was by the austerities which Hiranyakashipu did, he was very pleased, and then he blessed. Hiranyakashipu. So Hiranyakashipu also felt on the feet of Lord Brahma, and then Lord Brahma actually blessed him. So wherein Hiranyakashipu again got his bodily texture. So it was so much more effulgent. So this time, so he got all his body parts and everything, and then he was looking young also. Yeah. So he got that, and then say he asked for the benediction from Brahma, say, and then Brahma gave him, right? So we all know, right? So what was his benediction, right? Saying that he should not be killed inside or outside. He should not be killed uh, in the daytime or night time. Yeah, so not to be killed on weapon by any weapon, nor on land. Yeah, or not by any living or non-living entities. Yeah. So he actually asked all these things. So in a way that nobody could kill him, right? So he got those powers. Okay, so he got that benediction, and then post that, right? He actually started ruling the whole universes, all the three universes, and then he started staying in Indraloka, right? So where the king of the demigod Indra used to stay, right, which was built by Vishwakarma. So he started living there, yeah, and then all the time drunk, yeah, and then enjoying women. So that was his day, fully sense gratification, right? So he had anything and everything to do sense gratification. So all the day he was doing sense gratification, but still he was not happy. Yeah. So and any time, right? So he used to harass the demigods like anything, right? So he used to call anyone. He used to play with them. He used to beat. He used to chastise. So whatever he likes, he used to do, and then everyone were terrified with him. Yeah. So even Lord Indra also. So he was also fearing to him. So if Hiranyakashipu raises his eyebrow, right, even that was sufficient for all the devas to actually shiver. Yeah. So all these things happened, right? So devtas were very like say the demigods were very frightened, right? And then they started meditating on Lord Vishnu, and then so with there was a voice which came in, okay, so from the background, right? So there was a voice which came in, and then it said that not to fear, yeah. For so it gave say the voice gave some hope to all the demigods, saying that so I know that the voice says that there is some benediction which is being given, and then so Hiranyakashipu is actually making your life tough. And he says that I shall surely stop them very soon. Okay, and so you'll have to wait until the time comes in, and then the time is when Prahlad Maharaj comes, and then when Hiranyakashipu tortures him, right? So then the time will come in when Lord Vishnu will come in and kill him. Yeah, so that was the message which was being given, and then the Lord said that you'll have to wait for the time. So and then he said you'll have to be patient. Yeah. So this is an intro which I gave in. Yeah, and then we'll just look at the slides, and then because I'll not be able to cover all the slides though. Yeah, there are a lot of stuff. We'll just cover the important ones. Yeah. Yeah. So this is the voice. Okay. So which came in. The Lord vibrated. Yeah. O best of learned persons, do not fear. I wish all good fortune to you. Become my devotee by hearing and chanting about me and offering me prayers for these are certainly meant to award benediction to all living entities. I know all about the activities of Hiranyakashipu and shall surely stop them very soon. Please wait patiently until that. Okay. So this was the voice of the Lord. Yeah. So what was the time? So the time would be when Hiranyakashipu teases the great devotee Prahlad, his own son, who is peaceful and sober, and who has no enemy. I shall kill Hiranyakashipu immediately, despite the benediction of Brahma. So that's what the Lord says. Yeah? So from the background, this message has been given. Yeah? And then these are the characteristics of Prahlad Maharaj. Okay. So, from the very beginning of his childhood, Prahlad Maharaj was uninterested in childish playing things. Yeah. Indeed, he gave them up altogether and remained silent and dull, being fully absorbed in Krishna consciousness. Since his mind was always affected by Krishna consciousness, he could not understand how the world goes on, being fully absorbed in the activities of sense gratification. Okay. So, this is the characteristics of Prahlad Maharaj. Okay. So he was always in meditation of the Lord. Yeah. So, Melinda Mataji, do you want to read this?
Yeah. Hare Krishna, Prabhuji.
Hare Krishna Mataji.
Prahlad Maharaj was always absorbed in thoughts of Krishna. Thus, being always embraced by the Lord, he did not know how his bodily necessities, such as sitting, walking, eating, lying down, drinking, and talking, were being automatically performed.
Mataji, next slide also, please.
Yes. Because of advancement in Krishna consciousness, he sometimes cried, sometimes laughed, sometimes expressed jubilation, and sometimes sang loudly.
Yeah. Hare Krishna. Thank you, man.
Hare Krishna.
So he was completely in trance. Yeah. So he was always meditating on the Lord. Yeah. So the next thing, so we'll go a little bit further with the introduction which I gave in, right? So then what happens is, so Prahlad Maharaj is 5 year old, right? A child. So he was actually brought into the assembly. So where Hiranyakashipu is there, right? So as a father and child, right? So Prahlad Maharaj was brought into the assembly, and then this was just to meet with his father. Okay, so Prahlad Maharaj actually meets his father, yeah, and so at that time, right? So he goes, he pays obeisances, and then even Hiranyakashipu, right? So he has a lot of affection to his son. So he actually picks him up, right, and then he makes him sit on his lap, yeah, and then as usual, right? So like any father and son, right? So Hiranyakashipu actually will ask to speak something, right? So whatever you like. So as we say, right? So any small kid, we get in, we try to embrace him, we sort of make him sit on our lap. So 5 year old child expectation is that he'll come and speak some sweet words, right? So as a father, he was thinking, okay, so now the child will actually speak some sweet words, and then so basically he thought there'll be some interaction which generally happens, right? He thought that okay, he'll have that kind of interaction, okay. But we'll see through the slides that in the first instance, in there only, right? So Prahlad Maharaj actually advises him, okay, so not to be engrossed in the material body, right? So in the first attempt itself, he'll give that information saying that say don't be too attached, okay, to the bodily stuff, and then because this is temporary, so he'll give all those things. Yeah, we'll see that verse. That is also an important verse. So we'll not, yeah, I think these things are same only. We'll go here. So yeah, so we can read the slide. Because of his association with perfect unalloyed devotees who had nothing to do with anything material, Prahlad Maharaj constantly engaged in the service of the Lord's lotus feet. By seeing his bodily features when he was in perfect ecstasy, persons very poor in spiritual understanding became purified. In other words, Prahlad Maharaj bestowed upon them the transcendental bliss. So even by looking him, right? So there was bliss which others used to get in. Okay. So this is the incident wherein so Hiranyakashipu actually takes Prahlad Maharaj on his lap. Yeah. And then this is the first discussion which happens between the father and son. Yeah. So, and then these things, right? So these are described in the seventh canto. Okay. So this is from the seventh canto of Srimad Bhagavatam. Okay. So wherein these interactions are happening. Yeah. And so in this particular instance, right, Narad Muni is actually describing this pastime to Yudhishthira Maharaj. Okay. So this is the discussion between father and son. Yeah. My dear King Yudhishthira, once upon a time, the king of the demons, Hiranyakashipu, took his son on his lap and very affectionately inquired, my dear son, please let me know what do you think is the best of all the subjects you have studied from your teachers. Okay. So this is the reply. Okay. So Prahlad Maharaj actually starts preaching to his father itself. Okay. So which the father doesn't like though. Okay. So he gives a lot of instructions to him. Okay. So Sri Prahladu Vacha Tat Sadhu Manya Asuravari Dehinam Sada Samudvigna Deham Asad Grihat Hitvatma Patam Griham Andakupam Vanam Gato Yad Dhari Vanam Gato Harim Ashrayata. So he gives the instruction. Okay. He says, in this, right? He says Asuruvarya and all those things, right? So he's actually mentioning his father as the king of Asura. Okay. And then he says that whosoever, right, is accepting this temporary body, right? So, and then he's engrossed in the household life, right? He'll certainly fall in this dark well. Okay. So that is what he's saying. So he's saying that he's instructing him. Okay. So you are actually getting into this sense gratification and this material of life you are leading, right? So this is nothing but andhakupam, right? So andhakupam is nothing but a dark well, an unused well, yeah. So which nobody uses for any drinking or anything, yeah. And then he says that it's better if you retire, okay, from these things, okay, and take vanaprastha. Okay. So in here he says that you should take vanaprastha. So don't get attached to this materialistic life. Take vanaprastha and go to a vana. Okay. Wherein you can take the Hari Ashraya. Okay. So this is the first instruction which a 5-year-old child gives to his father when asked. Okay.
Prabhuji, what do you mean by Vanaprastha?
Vanaprastha is nothing. So these are 4 varnashram, right, Mataji? So first is what? Brahmacharya, Grihastha, Vanaprastha, and Sannyasa. So Brahmacharya is nothing but, so this is the time when it is celibacy, right? So in the olden days, right, ancient time, this was the student life. Okay. And then say that's say if it is 100 years, right? So in Kali Yuga, actually it is of 100 years. So wherein first 25 years, right? Any of this is the student life, so one should actually spend his this 25 years under a guru. Okay. So no one lives at their home. So this was in the history, so in the ancient, right, that was the thing. So wherein the parents used to live, used to take their child and then give it to the guru, and then give, and they used to be brought up by the guru. Okay. The instructions and everything would be given to them. Yeah. And so that's the first 25 hours, years. Okay. So where they'll do celibacy and then they'll serve the guru, and the guru actually teaches them in all the aspects. Okay. And so the next 25 years is grihastha life. So wherein you, you get into an householder life and then you bring up children and all, right? So after that, right, you'll have to get detached from this family life. So at the age of 50, basically you should give up your family life and then go into vanaprastha. Okay. And then so this is nothing but detachment with the family is vanaprastha. So after that, right, it is sannyasa. Next 25 years, right? So you'll fully dedicate yourself to the Lord. Yeah. Totally disconnected from the material life. Okay.
Yes, Prabhuji.
So this is the ideal way. But yeah. So that is what he's saying. So you have enjoyed a lot. Now you get detached of this and then go to Vana, go to some Vrindavan or somewhere and then take the association of the devotees and then listen about Hari. Yeah. Take Hari Ashraya is saying.
Thank you,
So
Prabhuji.
yeah. Mataji can read this. No?
Yes, Prabhuji. Discussion between Kashyap and Prahlad Maharaj. Narad Muni continued. When Prahlad Maharaj spoke about the path of self realization in devotional service, thus being faithful to the camp of his father's enemies, Hiranyakashyap, the king of the demons, heard Prahlad's words and he laughingly said, "Thus is the intelligence of children spoiled by the words of the enemy." Hiranyakashyap advised his assistants, "My dear demons, give complete protection to this boy at the Gurukul where he is instructed, so that his intelligence will not be further influenced by Vaishnavas who may go there in disguise."
Hare Krishna
Hare
Mataji.
Krishna.
So here, after listening this, right? So he said that this is something who is there are few who are spoiling his child. Okay. And then he instructs so his associates, he says that his assistants, he says that give him complete protection and make sure that he doesn't actually get any association with any of the Vaishnavas, yeah? Because he started preaching, right? So he just sensed it and then okay, he thought that okay, so it is someone has told something and then this boy has come and then told, he has repeated that, yeah. So that's what Hiranyakashipu gives the order. Kailash Mataji, can you read this, Mataji? The slide, please.
Hare Krishna Prabhuji, yes.
Is it visible or shall I increase the font, Mataji?
No, it's visible. Otherwise, it will not come in my phone.
Ah,
O
okay.
Brahmanas, teachers, as iron attracted by a magnetic stone moves automatically towards the magnet, my consciousness, having been changed by his will, is attracted by Lord Vishnu, who carries a disc in his hand. Thus, I have no independence. Sanda and Amarka, the teachers of Prahlad Maharaja, chastised and threatened their disciple in various ways and began teaching him about the paths of religion, economic development, and sense gratification. This is the way they educated him. After some time, the teachers Sanda and Amarka thought that Prahlad Maharaja was sufficiently educated in the diplomatic affairs of pacifying public leaders, appeasing them by giving them lucrative posts, dividing and ruling over them, and punishing them in cases of disobedience. Then one day, after Prahlad's mother had personally washed the boy and dressed him nicely with sufficient ornaments, they presented him before his father.
Okay.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. Thank you, Mataji. So here the next episode goes on, right? So then Hiranyakashipu actually told his assistants to take to the Gurukul, right? And at that time, right? So the teachers for the demons, right? They were Shanda and Amaraka, right? So they were the sons of Shukracharya. Okay. So Shukracharya's sons were Sanda and Amaraka, and then who were actually teaching the demons. Okay. So all the demonic children's, right? They were being sent to that school, and then there, right? They were only teaching about economic development and sense gratification. Okay. That's the education which was being given, and then how do you divide and rule, right? So this is the education which was imparted to the students there. Okay, so as Prahlad Maharaj was also the son of a demon, right? Hiranyakashipu. So he also was taking that course. Okay, so though he didn't like him, but he never disrespected his teachers. Yeah, so that's the greatness of Prahlad Maharaj. So he was listening to them. So whatever they said, right? If they ask a question or something, they ask, right? So he used to answer them. Okay. But the other thing is his soul or his heart was never inclined towards it. But as a practice of curriculum and all those things, right? So he was very good at that. And then he used to pick when asked answers, he used to give him. So this is what happened. Suppose that, right? So he was being taken and they actually trained. So they imparted all the knowledge with oh, all sense gratificatory, economic development, artha, right? So all these things they gave in knowledge in artha shastra and all. And after few days, right? So what happened is they actually took him to the palace once again. Yeah. So and so we'll see the next discussion what will happen. Yeah. And the other thing is I'll also touch here about the other pastimes which Prahlad Maharaj used to do in the school. Yeah. Because he was not interested in this. He used to listen that, and then whenever there was a break, right? So whenever Shanda America, they gave a break, right? Prahlad Maharaj actually used to pull all his classmates, yeah, and then he used to preach them about Vishnu. Okay, and then he used to give all the information about Krishna consciousness, and then there also, right, he instructs so many things to his friends. Okay, say he says that don't get into sense gratification. Okay, and say this is he gives so many information saying that our life, right? So whatever human form we have got, right? So that you should not waste it. Yeah, and so even he says that we should not utilize in sense gratificatory things, and then he even gives that in the human life, right? So most of the time, right, goes in. So he says that the first 10 years one is bewildered, and then in the next 10 years when someone is in the boyhood and all, right, so they get engaged in sporting and playing, and then they pass another 10 years, so 20 years are passed. Similarly, in the old age, right, so last 20 years due to these material activities and all, right, so they'll be unable to perform anything, right? So because of the old age and all, right, so they can't pick up at that time the spirituality and all those things because they never practiced in their lifetime, right? It becomes difficult to pick at the end time. So if you are too much materialistically attached, and then if you're too much into materialistic activities, right, you can't do that. So again you waste the time. And then he says that half of the time it goes in anxiety and then sleep. So most of the time, so he says that half of the lifetime goes in these activities only. Okay, so he says that we'll have to be very vigilant and then use this human form of life to actually go back to Godhead. And then even he preaches there saying that so we'll have to come out of the cycle of birth and death. So imagine a 5-year-old child, right? He has all these instructions he gives in. So if you read Bhagavatam 7th canto 6th chapter, right? So he has given all the details. Yeah? So what he actually gives in, and then he says that money is so dear, Okay, and then it is sweeter than honey. Yeah, so therefore most of them try to accumulate money, right? So especially the householder life and all those things, right? So he says he gives all those instructions to the children. Yeah. So let's see what happens now. Next thing is, so all these things he is giving at the back end. Yeah. So now again, same discussion. Yeah. So now Hiranyakashipu is waiting to meet with his son. Yeah. So when Hiranyakashipu saw that his child had fallen at his feet and was offering obeisances as an affectionate father, he immediately began showering blessings upon the child and embraced him with both arms. A father naturally feels happy to embrace his son, and Hiranyakashipu became very happy in this way. So Narad Muni continued, "My dear King Yudhishthira, Hiranyakashipu seated Prahlad Maharaj on his lap and began smelling his head. Okay. With affectionate tears gliding down from his eyes and moistening the child's smiling face, he spoke to his son as follows. Okay. So now he'll ask, what did you learn? Hiranyakashipu said, "My dear Prahlad, my dear son, O long lived one, for so much time you have heard many things from your teachers. Now please repeat to me what you think is the best of that knowledge." Okay. So now again, so after this treatment, right? So after this um, whole mind washing and of the Shukracharya's son Sanda and Amaraka with Arthashastra and politics and all, right? So he's expecting some other response now. Yeah. And then now, so you'll see the reply from from Prahlad Maharaj, right? So Prahlad Maharaj says, Shravanam Kirtanam Vishnu Smaranam Padasevanam Archanam Vandanam Dasyam Sakhyam Atmanivedam. Yeah. So now he gives the 9 devotional discharges, right? And then, okay, sorry, we have the other part also. Yeah. So he gives the 9 devotional services. Yeah. And then iti pumsarpita Vishnu bhaktischan navalakshana kriyate bhagavati adha tanmanya adhitam uttamam. So now he says that the 9 processes, right? So from here we get in. Okay, so these are the 9 devotional services which Prahlad Maharaj has given us. Yeah? So Shravanam is nothing but hearing. Yeah? Kirtanam, chanting. Okay, so Vishnu Smaranam. Okay, so remembering Lord Vishnu. Yeah? Pada Sevanam, serving the feet. Archanam is nothing but offering worship. Yeah? Vandanam, offering prayers. Dasyam, becoming the servant. Sakhyam, becoming the best friend. Yeah? Atmanivedanam, surrendering everything. So this is what he says, that these are the 9 processes. So by which we can attend the pure devotional service. Okay. So for us, right, if we can do any one of them also, right? So and then Prabhupada actually writes a long purport for this. Yeah. If we can do any one of them, right? Either Shravanam, Kirtanam, or Vishnu Smaranam, anything, right? So if we can do any one of them perfectly, right? Even that's enough for us to go back to the Godhead. Yeah. So basically, we are doing, all of us will be falling in these 3 categories only: Shravanam, Kirtanam, and Vishnu Smaranam. So if we do any one of them also properly, right? So our devotional service is guaranteed, and then you can go back to Godhead. Yeah. So this is the thing. Mataji, do you want to read this?
Yes, sure. Yeah. Hare Krishna.
Good,
Um,
Mataji.
Discussion between Hiranyakashipu and Prahlad Maharaj. After hearing these words of devotional service from the mouth of his son Prahlad, Hiranyakashipu was extremely angry. His lips trembling, he spoke as follows to Sanda, the son of his guru, Shukracharya. O unqualified, most heinous son of a Brahman, you have disobeyed my order and taken shelter of the party of my enemies. You have taught this poor boy about devotional service. What is this nonsense? The son of Shukracharya, Hiranyakaship's spiritual master, said, O enemy of King Indra, O king, whatever your son Prahlad has said was not taught to him by me or anyone else. His spontaneous devotional service has naturally developed in him. Therefore, please give up your anger and do not unnecessarily accuse us. It is not good to insult a Brahmin in this way.
Hare
Hare Krishna.
Krishna. So this is what has happened. Yeah. So now, because he gave in, right? So Hiranyakashipu thought that now his son will come and then he'll tell something about other stuff, right? So the sense gratificatory things, but he says that he gives him the 9 devotional services which we have to do in. Okay. So with this, right, Hiranyakashipu gets very furious, yeah, and then he asks the Gurukul teachers, what kind of knowledge have you imparted them? So he's talking about my enemy, and then he chastises them, saying that the teachers have taken the opponent's party, and then so they are teaching all these things. So then they clarify, saying that, oh, see, we have all taught him about the demonic requirements, but he has got spontaneous devotional service, so he has got it naturally. So therefore, so don't show anger and then don't get angry on a Brahmana. So that's what they tell him. So after listening this, right? So now Hiranyakashipu gets angry, and then he says that. So he becomes anxious also. So now saying that this is something which is not working well, right? And then he actually now gives orders to his assistant, saying that they'll have to kill my son. Okay. And then before that, right, I'll cut short the story a little bit shorter. Yeah. So where did Prahlad Maharaj get this knowledge, right, about Vishnu? Because he was after he was born and he was going to the school of Sanda and Amarika, right? So then where did he hear this about?
In the womb, in
Yeah.
the womb of Kayadu.
Yes, Mataji, correct. Thank you, Mataji. So the first picture which I had shown you, right? So the lady in that picture was nothing but Prahlad Maharaj's mother. Okay, her name was Kayadu. Okay, so when Hiranyakashipu went for severe penances, so he was doing all the austerities, he was doing tapasya there, right, in the hill. At that time, right, the devatas thought that anyhow this guy is not there now, so we'll take the charge, and then they actually started retaliating the demons. And then it so happened that they went into the palace of Hiranyakashipu, and then they saw that there is a lady who's pregnant, and then they captured her, and then they were taking her back. And then so their idea was the child who will be born also would be a demon, so they wanted to kill him, but not in the womb, but once the child comes out. Okay, so therein Narada Muni intervenes. Yeah, so Narada Muni actually knows about all these things, right? So he actually comes in. Okay, and then he says, "See, um, don't kill this child. or don't take her with you. So I'll take with her to my hermitage. Yeah. And then he tells them that, see, the child who is there in this womb, right? So he's one of the great devotee. Okay. So, and then hearing that particular thing, right? Say all, say the devatas, right? Say they'll actually leave her to Narad Muni. Yeah. So even although there was like they were exalted personalities, right? Say like Indra and other great devatas, right? So they are so obedient to the guru, right? So Narad Muni, they were so obedient to his words, yeah. So they have not seen, right? So the only thing is they heard Narad Muni saying that this child is going to be the he's going to be one of the devotee, right? So hearing that, right? So they circumambulated and then they left that place. Yeah. So that was how the things were in the past. Yeah. So people used to believe, right? So their gurus, yeah, and so just heard the shabda, right? So it was all shabda praman which they heard and then they left. Yeah. So that is how things were. So they didn't question, say how, what, and all. Yeah. It was Narad Muni who said, and then they agreed for it. So now what happens is, so this was the question which the children ask uh, Prahlad Maharaj, saying that, so we are all taught here. So how did you gain this knowledge? So, and then he says that, so this was the episode when I was being taken to Narad Muni's hermitage. So wherein Narad Muni actually was instructing about and Lord Vishnu to Kayadu, and then Narad, this Prahlad Maharaj in the womb heard everything. Yeah. And then, so that is how he gained all the knowledge there. Yeah. So that was the spiritual knowledge, was everything he drank. He drank the nectar of all the spiritual knowledge being in the womb. Yeah. So that's how it correlates. Okay. So I just wanted to patch that. And then now, right, the demons actually try to kill Prahlad Maharaj in different ways. They put it in snake chamber, they throw him from a cliff, and then they try um, they try to put him on fire, do an elephant stampede. But all these things were happening, and Prahlad Maharaj never resisted. Yeah, and then he was only dependent on Lord Vishnu, on Narayana. So he was always meditating on Narayana, right? So see the kind of dependency he has in, right? So he didn't have anything else. He never protested nothing. He knew that he was totally surrendered to Narayana, and then he knew that Narayana will save him. Yeah. So that's the kind of dependency. Yeah. So if we have it, right? So then the Lord reciprocates. So when he was thrown, a scratch also didn't come on his body, right? So that's what. So even in Bhagavad Gita, the Lord says, right? Ye yathamam prapadyante tam satheva bhajamyam. So the way we surrender to the Lord, right? The Lord will reciprocate. So if we have any doubt, right? Will Lord come? I'm in this situation. If I will not resist. So if we have those doubts, right? Then the Lord will never come. So we are not in that mode, or we don't have because we are just sadhakas, right? So we don't have that realization or that dependency, that samadhi we don't have. But those who have, right, the Lord takes care of them. Yeah? So that is complete surrender. Yeah. So it is like the small babies, right? So you see small babies who are before 1 year, right? So they are totally surrender on the mother, right? So they they're totally dependent on mother, right? So the mother only feeds him, right, timely, and then so whenever there is winter, there is too cold, and so the mother only puts some warm clothes and all those things, right? So they're completely dependent. Yeah. So if we have that kind of dependency, right, then the Lord will reciprocate. Yeah. So these things happen, and then all these reports went in to Hiranyakashipu now. So now Hiranyakashipu, after listening to all these things, right? So again, they'll have some discussion, and then he gets very angry now, and then he says that, so you have actually lost. She says that your mind is gone, and then she, you are actually becoming too. Um, so you should. He says that instead of enjoying this actual universe and all those things, right, which he has conquered, so you are losing all the opportunities. Okay. So and then he actually gets angry, and then he pulls out a sword. Yeah. And because he was very powerful, right? So he says that, my son Prahlad, you rascal, you know that when I am angry, all the planets of the three worlds tremble, along with their chief rulers. By whose power has a rascal like you become so impudent that you appear fearless and overstep my power to rule you? So he says, he's asking, on whose power? And then Prahlad Maharaj here says that the source of my strength and your strength is the same. Okay. So, so here he's actually giving the answer, saying that your source and my source, right? So both the sources are same, which is nothing but Lord Krishna, right? So everything comes from him. Aham sarvasa prabhavo, right? So, and post that he says that there are no enemies. So he says to his father, again he preaches, says that there are no enemies. So don't discriminate anything. So he says that the biggest enemy is your uncontrolled mind. Yeah. It's not only for him, right? For all of us also. So for us, right? It is due to our misguided mind. We feel that, okay, so he's an enemy of me or is a well wisher of me, right? So actually, there are no enemies in this world. It is our misguided mind which actually, if there is an enemy, there is only one enemy, which is nothing but our mind. Yeah, the misguided one. So now again he chastises Hiranyakashipu, actually gets mad and on his child, right? So now he says that you have desired to die at my hands. Yeah. And then he says that you're saying that Hiranyakashipu chastised his exalted devotee son Prahlad with harsh words, cursing him again and again. And then he got up from his royal throne and he asks, so is your Lord present in this particular pillar? Yeah. So now he asks him, okay. So he goes to a pillar and then he says that, is your Lord present in this pillar? And then he hits that pillar very hard because he is so powerful, right? So he hit it and then the pillar started cracking, right? And then there was a voice which came out, a roaring voice came out, yeah? So which actually shook all the universes and everyone could hear that. And then there Lord Narasimha appears, half man and half lion. She appears out of that pillar, right? And then we know that he kills Hiranyakashipu, right? So because Hiranyakashipu had a benediction that he should not be killed inside house, outside house, right? So if the time also was chosen that it was neither a night or a daytime, yeah, nor in the air nor in the land. So he was killed nor with the weapon. So he was killed with the nails of the Lord, right? So he never thought that the Lord will come in this form also, right? So that's what. So there is a saying, right? Rake Krishna Mare Krishna Rake. So if the Lord decides to kill anyone, right? So no one can stop him, right? And then if the Lord wants to protect anyone, so no one can do anything. So that's the thing, right? So we saw the two extremes wherein Prahlad Maharaj was being tortured, and then Hiranyakashipu tried to kill him, but he couldn't. Yeah? Similarly, when Hiranyakashipu thought that he'll not be killed by anyone, but Lord Vishnu killed him. Yeah? So now what happens is Hiranyakashipu is killed with the hands in the hands of Narsimadev, right? So next what happens is Narsimadev is very furious now, right? And so nobody is daring to go nearby him. Yes, he is extremely angry and he's roaring. Yeah? Even Lord Brahma and then say the goddess of fortune, Goddess Lakshmi also, right? She also couldn't dare to go him, right? And then Lord Brahma comes in and then he also offers prayers, but he doesn't get pacified. Then he actually sends Prahlad Maharaj. Lord Brahma says that you please go ahead. And then, so he's a 5-year old, and then there is, so uh, Lord is very furious sitting on Hiranyakashipu's chair, yeah. And then Prahlad Maharaj goes and pays obeisances, yeah. And then, so then he touches the feet of the Lord. So the Lord actually gets pacified, and then he puts his hand on the head of Prahlad Maharaj, yeah. So which many of them desire, but none of them get direct contact from the Lord, that too his blessings with his hand here. So and then Prahlad Maharaj also offers a lot of prayers therein, yeah. So you can read in that canto. So and he says that I simply take your shelter, yeah. So says that um, take me into your shelter. So then actually the Lord says that now you can ask me any of the benediction you want. Okay. Then Prahlad Maharaj says that so I don't want any benediction. So the only ask is that don't make me materially attached, and then so keep me always spiritually advanced, and then give me liberation. So give me liberation so that I can serve you. So that's what he says in. And say Lord Narasimhadev says that so you'll be ruling this world until this millennium, and then though you'll be in this world, in this material world, so you'll be ruling as if you'll have all the facilities of Vaikuntha here. Yeah. So that's what he says, and then even Lord Prahlad, the Prahlad Maharaj says that I'm not doing any business also, right? So if I ask for any benediction, right? So doing devotional service and asking for some material benefits, right? So it is like a business, which Prahlad Maharaj says, and okay. So that's not devotional service, is what he mentions. Yeah. And at the end, right, he prays to Lord Narsimadev. He says that if you could actually, I know that my father has done so many bad things, right? So see the compassion which Prahlad Maharaj has in, right? So his father tried to kill him. He gave him so many pain, right? So, and still he doesn't have an envy, or he's not angry on his father. He still says that, please deliver my father. Yeah. He prays in. Okay. He prays to Lord, saying that, can please deliver him. And then the Lord replies, right? Being killed by his own hands, right? So he was delivered. And then in response to the prayers, right, the Lord assures that not only his father, right, but his forefathers for 21 generations are liberated. Okay. So that is how, if we have a devotee in the family, right, even their forefathers are actually relieved. Yeah. So they also get liberated. Yeah. And then at the end, Lord actually instructs Lord Brahma. He says that don't give any such benedictions further. Yeah. So with that, he leaves. Okay. Hare Krishna. We'll stop here. So this is how I could actually wrap up the whole Narsimhadev avatar. Yeah. So it takes time because this is the pastime which Prabhupada has given more lectures on. Yeah. So this is very close to Prabhupada and even for Chaitanya Mahaprabhu also. So it's been said that Chaitanya Mahaprabhu has heard from Gadadhar Pandit at least 100 times this pastimes. Yeah. So these are very close to them. So yeah, in that way, so we are also fortunate that we got some association with you and then we could discuss this pastime. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna Prabhuji.
So hope you have marked your attendance. Any question anyone has?
No, Prabhuji.
Okay. So thank you for your association. We'll wind up the class. Vancha kalpatarupyascha kripa sindhubhya eva cha patitanam pavanebhyo vaishnavyo namo namo. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji.